I'm a sci-fi guy, particularly Star Trek. Love Star Trek. Been watching Star Trek since I was a kid. The original series, Kirk and Spock and Scotty and all them. Um, I like the Avengers, the Marvel comics series. These particular ones I like because you know they're not just sci-fi. It's not just about, well, particularly like now the Avengers. It's not just about all the fantastic CGI stuff and the fight scenes and all that. Um, there are lessons to be learned within these movies, these shows, whatever, morals. Star Trek is actually kind of famous for it. There was always a moral um, to every episode, and they were indicative of the times that they were going through. Now with the Avengers, same thing. A lot of it has to do with the different times that we're in. But I like them because they're sci-fi, but they're intelligent sci-fi. Now you can watch them and just get the entertainment factor out of it, all the big lights and explosions and all the cool stuff. But if you really get deep into it, you can learn some lessons, which is pretty cool. So, if you're not familiar with Marvel Comics and with the Avengers, there's a character by the name of Tony Stark. Tony Stark is Iron Man, and I'm sure you've probably heard at least of Iron Man. Tony Stark's character, he's arrogant, cocky, condescending, but he's very used to being the smartest person in the room. And so that's kind of where it comes from. I mean, he talks a lot of shit, but he can back it up because he's that guy. He's the Elon Musk of the Marvel universe. But there's an episode, or one of the movies, one of the last few, where they have at this point, the Avengers have at this point met people from other worlds. And where Tony Stark is extremely intelligent, as I said, there are things that just perplex him. He has no idea about out there in the universe. So they're meeting these new people who have information that they don't necessarily have. And there's this one particular, hold on, what is this? I don't know what that is. All right, shut that down. There's this one particular scene that comes to mind and is kind of applicable to what I'm going to be talking about, where Rocket, who is another character, it's like a raccoon kind of guy, right? Tony Stark says something cocky to him, calls him by the wrong name or whatever it is, and Rocket tells him, "Easy, you're only a genius on Earth, pal." And you kind of chuckle at it or whatever, but if you learn the lesson behind that, the lesson behind that comment was, sometimes you're in your bubble, you're in your world, and in your bubble and in your world, you can know all that there is to know. But just because you know everything that there is to know inside your little bubble doesn't mean that you know everything that there is to know, period. Okay? And there are other people who actually may be just as intelligent as you in other ways, on other subjects. Why did I go through all that? Well, I want to talk to you about Terra Classic validators, developers, and no, not all of them, right? The more I'm getting to actually know some of these guys that I didn't have the chance to know maybe over the last year or so, I'm finding that a lot of them are really, really into doing what they do in order to help the chain. And they're, in very, very, very much enjoy learning. They're humble, great guys and gals. However, there are that certain, amount who believe that they're not only the smartest in the room, but they just think that everybody should listen to everything they have to say. Well, just because you know how to code, and because you could be a blockchain specialist, you could know, any question that somebody could ask you about the chain or about blockchain or about crypto, you've got the answer for them. Just because that's the case doesn't mean that you know everything about everything and that everybody should bow to your brilliance and just take your advice and your knowledge or whatever as the gospel. There are some other people that know some other things, and there are some things that you guys are kind of proven that you're not really all that good at. One of those things in particular is kind of running a business. I, over the last few years, have made several different attempts. I call them proposals because I guess technically that's what they are. But I haven't made proposals in that I have actually put something up through governance to be voted on. So it hasn't been that official of a proposal. But I have over the last couple of years put a few things together, a few different versions of this thing that I've been talking about lately with the steering committee, advisory board, again, whatever the hell we're going to call it. So it's gone through a few different iterations. And I talked about this earlier. You may have seen my little truck video on Twitter, but I want to talk a little bit more about it. Because I guess maybe it's bothering me. But I want to express some things. So a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, I wrote a Medium article. And it was about the Terra Classic Steering Committee. I believe I actually have it up here. And we're not going to read it or whatever. No, that's not even the right one. All right, it doesn't matter. Anyway, it was January of 23. So, we've had January 24. We're coming up on January of 25. So it's almost 2 years ago that I wrote this. And it was the steering committee idea. The idea back then, the way I wrote it, I gave this committee a lot of power. I suggested that they needed to have power because without some sort of power, why would anybody have to listen to them? They would just do whatever the hell they wanted to do. I talked about them having access to funds. I talked about a lot of things like that. Well, these brilliant geniuses of the blockchain poo-pooed all over it. They said that it was a bad idea, would never work, for various different reasons. I think, and maybe this is just me being hypersensitive, but I think that a lot of these guys get really into themselves and think that because they know everything that there is to know about blockchain, that they know everything that there is to know about everything. That they know exactly how everything should work. They can almost tell the future. And I think that some of them, not all of them, some of them, might have a hard time listening to the YouTube guy, the truck driver guy, telling us how we should run things around here and make, a successful chain. Well, I can't tell you a damn thing about SDK, GT, PQ, whatever. I can't tell you a damn thing about COSM, and all those things. I know the terms because I've heard you guys say them. I don't know a damn thing about L1 stuff, about how to do all that. You got me on that one. But Trev is a 57-year-old man. Yeah, I know. I don't look it. Whatever. 57 years old. I'll be 58 not that far from now. I've been around the block a few times. I have been a supervisor. I have been a foreman. I have run jobs. I have run crews. I have run companies, other people's companies, my own companies. Always pretty successfully. I kind of have a clue about some things. I don't have a clue about the things that you guys specialize in, but I do have a clue about some other things. I've got a little bit of marketing experience. A few different things that I actually have a clue about. So when you hear these things come from me and you want to write it off and say, well, he's just a YouTube guy. He's a guy that drives trucks, construction guy. He don't know shit about this stuff. I might know actually maybe a little more than you think, and maybe even a little more than you, about how to successfully run a business, how to motivate people. There's a lot of things that I know that go into my ideas and my proposals about how we could actually make this chain better. Again, I can't tell you what the best version of SDK is to have right now. I can't tell you what upgrades and updates we should have. I really can't even speak intelligently on the difference between tax to gas and what the tax should be, if we should even have a tax. I really can't talk to you about those kind of things. But I can talk to you about how the community perceives what is going on. I can talk to you about what the community, and I'm talking about the investors, what they're actually looking to get out of this chain, and what they're looking to you guys to actually do for them. And so that's why I've kind of put these things out there. Now, you can take that with a grain of salt. Do whatever you want to do with the information. But I have a clue. I have a little bit of a clue. Another thing that I find, and I'll give you another, I go through this in my personal life, and I find it actually amusing until it gets aggravating. But my fiance, for instance, I have conversations with her sometimes, and I'll offer an opinion on something, on the way I think something is, or maybe the way I think something should be, maybe something that we should do. And she'll take the opposite stance. Regardless of what it is, she'll take the opposite stance. There's a little battle of wits that goes on where she doesn't want to feel like I'm he's the man, he's the intelligent one, he's going to make all the decisions or whatever. She's a very smart woman. And so there's this thing where if I suggest it, it's automatically a no. But if I wait a little while, I wait maybe a couple weeks, maybe a month, all of a sudden she'll have this bright idea and she'll bring it to me. Hey, what if, oh, sorry, Mike. Oh, wow, that hasn't happened in a long time with this camera. Kind of froze up on me. Anyway, she'll have this bright idea that, hey, we should do this. Hey, this is what I think about that. And it's exactly what I told her a month ago. She may have forgot that I told it to her, or she may try to turn it a little bit so that it kind of, but the thing is, if the idea comes from her, then it's a great idea. But if it came from me, it's shit, right? So I kind of chuckle about it a little bit. I'm never going to tell her, yeah, that was my idea. I'm the one who told you that. You get all your great ideas from me, because then I'll be having all my great ideas by myself. But I'm starting to find that outside of my relationship, there are other people that are just kind of like that, okay? And I go back to me talking about these things that I talked about as far as what the steering committee should do early on. And everybody, like I said, shit all over it. No. Now, I came up with my most recent iteration of what this should look like. And I stripped this committee of all its power. It's just a matter of influence now, because everyone complained about centralization or decentralization, keeping decentralization, not wanting to get centralized. We don't need a leader. We have governance. That's not what this is. It's just not the idea of Terra Classic. Everybody just really harped on that back then, right? But it was my idea, and I have maintained almost since the beginning, almost since Terra Rebels went their separate ways, I have maintained that we need leadership. There's no way you can just leave this out there to be developed by whoever feels like coming and developing it, because it's going to go in a million different directions, right? I've been saying this since the beginning, but maybe because it came from me, right? Not a happy caddy, or somebody who maybe has established themselves as having a little more technical knowledge. Maybe you technical guys didn't listen to it because it came from a truck driver. But now, what I'm seeing is that all those things that I suggested, now I'm seeing more and more, we need leadership. Not only that, but leadership should have power. It should go through governance so that people actually have to do what is suggested. They should have access to funds. All these things that I suggested, that it was a bad idea when I suggested it, now you're suggesting it. And suddenly it's a good idea. I stripped it down to try to meet what you wanted. No centralization, just, a body that would work to bring everybody together. But, I gave you everything that you said you wanted over the last couple of years. And now, because I'm saying that, now you're going back to what I originally said and making it like it's your idea. Now, I couldn't care less. I'm not the kind of guy who's like, I want credit, I said it first. That's not the point here. Not the point I'm trying to get at. The point is, can you please just work as a team? Can you stop thinking that the earth spins according to what your opinion is this morning? Can you just say, yeah, let's all get together. Let's put our heads together. Everyone has maybe something to offer, right? And come up with the best solution for moving Terra Classic forward, for increasing the value of Lunk, for trying our best to go back to the original mission statement, which was to make the people who lost everything after the crash, to try to make them whole again. And that's with LUNC, that's the USTC people, that's everybody. This is the reason we were supposed to be remaking and redoing this chain, right? That's the reason. And then the new people that came and invested, right? Let's make them some money. Let's make a strong chain that people want to come and build on, right? Well, in order to do that, you have to work as a team. 2.5 years of spinning our wheels and not getting anywhere and the price going down, down, down has absolutely proven that. Now, I want to make one more point. And I'm going to take you over here. This is CoinMarketCap, and this is the Terra Classic Lunk listing. Well, a bunch of things, and you guys are all aware of it mostly, right? A bunch of things have happened over the last week or two or whatever. As far as the socials that are listed on CoinMarketCap, well, with everything was listed under, everything was controlled by TFL, even for Lunk, because they originally made the listing. And since they originally made the listing, it's their accounts, it's their web, their email accounts, their official accounts that CoinMarketCap looks to if there are any changes that are going to be made. Well, today's the last day for TFL. They might already be out. They're in a different time zone. They're done. Okay. Before that happened, we had some people that tried to take the reins and tried to go to CoinMarketCap, maybe even TFL or whatever, and get the socials changed because the socials were pointing toward things we didn't necessarily want them to point toward, okay? And we tried to grab the reins. So CoinMarketCap changed the socials to some things that at least pointed to something that had to do with Terra Classic, with Lunk. But there was complaints about that, right? Because they pointed to a certain person's stuff, and so would rather it pointed to nothing. So some other people reached out and got all of the socials eliminated. They were all gone. We're gonna do it by governance now. Well, come to find out, we can't do a damn thing. TFL would have needed to turn over somehow officially control of those things to us, so that we could deal with CoinMarketCap or any of the other CEXs or anything that we deal with that they had control over. They would have had to turn that stuff over to us before they vacated. Well, they're gone, and they didn't turn shit over to us yet, right? I don't even think they can at this point. There's something that says maybe they can't have anything to do with anything relating to crypto at all anymore. So we probably can't even get that stuff from them. Right now, currently, where's my pointer? Where am I? I don't know. I'm lost. I'm trying to find... Okay, here we go. Right now, if you go to the socials, there are only 2 socials listed. You got the Twitter or the X, and you got Reddit. Let's click on them. So the Twitter brings me to Terra Money. That ain't Lunk. That ain't Lunk. What about the Reddit? Terra Luna. That ain't Lunk. Or is it Lunk? This Reddit is for Lunk, Luna, USTC. So it's kind of an amalgamation, I guess. But it's not, I mean, TFL's gone. So we want something that's going to point specifically to Lunk. Now, these are the only things that are listed there. And we don't have control at this point. It doesn't matter if we make a governance proposal. It doesn't matter what we do. We have no way to control getting these things changed. Now, I mentioned earlier, if you saw my little Twitter post, like a little 10-minute video, I mentioned earlier that I was in this group of developers and validators or whatever, a little private group that was made a few months ago, although I just got in it recently, right? And so I jumped in there and I was chatting and I asked, I said, listen, what is... are there any options right now? Do we have any way at all to get control of these things and to change these at our will or whatever? This was the answer that I got. Not that, and I blocked out who said it. I'm not trying to put anybody out there, but this is the only answer that anybody gave because it's the only answer that anyone can give. It says, not that I can think of, this course had an option. TFL hands over control to us. If TFL is gone now or non-responsive, either we live with what's there, which is what I just showed you, right? We can't live with that. Or we have to have an official team to request control from CMC, CoinGecko, and others. The final option is possible relisting, which carries a heavy cost and again needs official reps. I don't know exactly what the cost is, but I have heard that listing on CoinMarketCap, on CoinGecko, on any of the, it comes with, it's thousands of dollars, I think, right? To get listed. So we would have to try to relist. I don't even know if that's possible. I don't know what you do because they want it to come from an official somebody, right? So that's why it says, and again, needs official reps. Now, hold on, let me close this down. The question of, hey, what happens if we have to have official dealings with a project leaders, CEXs, what happens if we have to have official, we don't have anybody to point to in this community-run, validator-run, point of stake, proof of stake network, right? So what happens? That question's been asked multiple times and basically been ignored. No one has really given an answer to it. No one has taken any steps whatsoever to do anything about that. Well, now we have a case, I think they call it your chicken's coming home to roost. Because now we don't have official representation. We don't have, and who is TFL even going to turn it over to? We don't have that. This steering committee, this advisory board could also very well act as our official voice in these types of negotiations. Right now, Terra Classic is absolutely just kind of hung out to dry and just out there. No leadership, no way to change these things, no way to do anything. Many of us have been saying this to all of you genius people who are so concerned about making sure you got the right version of this, that, and the other thing, and building this foundation and making the chain secure, right? All these things are important. I'm not trying to diminish them and say they're not important, but you're so in that bubble, you're such a genius on earth, that's the only place you're a genius, that you don't even pay attention to these other things that are absolutely necessary. Now, we've known that TFL was going to go for a while. We've known about these links for a while. Nobody's done anything about it. Finally, it got down to the wire, and somebody said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it, right? And then they got mad that that person did it. And then, now it's a mad scramble at the end because we don't have a central entity. That's right, I use the word central. A central entity that can pay attention to all this stuff and do the things that need to be done Talk to the people that need to be talked to. This would be their job, right? To handle all this other stuff, this upfront stuff that's not building the chain and making sure it's updated and upgraded and that the validators have the current software and all that stuff is great. But these are the things that we need that actually run this chain and keep it moving forward. You're building and building and building the foundation, but what are we doing on top of it? What is the building that's going to be built on top? Who's going to come and use it? We need it. We absolutely need it. So, leave comments in the comment section. Like the video if you want to like the video, subscribe, all those kind of things, right? I got to say it. What are we going to do? What are we going to do about it? If you think that we need leadership, if you think that we need representation, if you think that we need to be steered in one direction and someone paying attention to all of this stuff, a group of people paying attention to all this stuff, let me know, but also make your voices heard, because this narrative, this conversation is really getting traction. And some people that I never thought would have said, yeah, I think it's a great idea, have said, yeah, I think it's a great idea. So make your voices heard and let everybody know that you also think it's a great idea. We're going to keep pushing on this. Me, Pink Unicorn, a few other people, until we actually put something together. And I think at this point, we kind of need to do it sooner than later. Maybe figure out all the specifics of what it's going to be or what it can be or what it should be later. But we need to kind of put something in place. So let's have the conversation. Reach out to me. All right, Joe. Talk to you later. Ciao.